Alright, so as you guys saw yesterday, WizKids was delightful enough to provide us with a gravity feed of the Ninja Turtles Unplugged set. We're going to go piece by piece from our pulls from this box that you saw us unbox yesterday. We're going to talk about competitive or casual. Are these figures built for competitive play or are they built for casual play? One thing always worth noting before we get started is that a lot of these gravity feed base sets, these smaller sets, are generally newer player focused. Occasionally a few gems will come out that really play their way into competitive play, as we've seen with some figures in previous sets. But let's without further ado, let's get started on piece by piece on Ninja Turtles Unplugged. Alright, here we go. Alright, so without further ado, Ninja Turtles Unplugged starts with figure number 001, Leonardo, TMNT ally, martial artist and warrior keywords. Throw across the screen as his trait. When Leonardo hits an adjacent character after resolutions, you may place that character onto a square adjacent to Leonardo, then use Force Blast, targeting the character at no cost. This kind of represents throwing them. For those of you who remember the TMNT arcade game or Turtles in Time, there's a little bit of throwing mechanics. This is a good look at him. If you get a good, these are these characters that kind of look neat the further away you get from them. This is the way you're meant to see them, right? Side scrolling. So anyway, this is a good look at the dial. 50 points. Very nice way to start your games with players. Get together some Ninja Turtles teams and some Ninja Turtles enemies and play them up that way. But not going to be breaking the competitive market for the most part. Next up, Michelangelo, TMNT allied, martial artist and warrior keywords. This is what he looks like. Power move is his special movement power. Power. Modify attack +1, move up to 3 squares, then make up to 2 close attacks. So kind of like a flurry light, as it were, on that. He has that for the first 3 clicks along with some incapacitate. He's got 2 range. Not going to be expecting that to work much. 50 points once again. Very similar to Leonardo. In fact, if you look at the defense value, the defense is very common amongst them. Good starting level figures to introduce some players into the game. Much like we get with the Raphael, who's got the same power move ability. Raphael's got this looking to the side thing. It's a weird effect of the way, the closer you look to these guys, the weirder they get. They get a little Minecrafty at times because they're transferring a 2-dimensional pixel-based artwork into 3 dimensions, so it's going to look like something your kids can make in Minecraft. A neat effect, and it really adds to the 3 dimensions of Heroclix. But it does look a little jarring at first. Once again, very similar to Michelangelo dial with precision strike in lieu of incapacitate. No quake at the back end, though. All right. Then we have Donatello. He's got the throw across the screen trait. And then he's this dial with some late dial perplex, 50 points. Very similar. So these are Ninja Turtles that are meant to kind of play together, but also get a bit of a feel, similar feel to each other. All right, so next up we have the Shredder Illusion. Foot Clan TMNT villain, martial artist mystical. There's the Shredder Illusion. He's like a helmeted Shredder in the main set there. Temporary Shredder Illusion is his trait. For all characters that can use this trait, whenever a friendly character within 6 squares named Shredder would take damage, you may reduce that damage by 1, in addition to any other effects that reduce damage. If you do, after resolutions, deal 1 unavoidable damage to a friendly character named Shredder Illusion, so it makes him really, really hard to damage. It is specifically characters named Shredder, so everybody who's thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to use it with the Chase Shredders from Shredder Returns, bad news, not going to happen. But this is made for another Shredder in the set. He does have shape change. He's not easy to get his hands off at first. 20 points. There's a place. If there's another Shredder that can be used in competitive play, this guy will go with it. And of course, there's another way to get use out of this guy, and we'll talk about him in a bit. All right, next up, we have the Rock Soldier. TMNT villain, armor, brute soldier. Reduced to rubble is his trait. When Rock Soldier is KO'd after resolutions, generate a standard heavy object in its square. So they turn into rocks. It's a 3 square, 35 point dial with some late in the game empower. Not going to be breaking barriers as far as competitive play is concerned, but for 35 points, that's a pretty tough 35 points to say the least. Okay, next up, Foot Soldier with an axe. These foot soldiers, there's foot soldiers and foot soldiers elites. Foot soldiers and foot soldier elites in this set. Woof, I tried to say that too quickly. They'll have different traits. This one has Foot Clan, TMNT, Villain, and Soldier as his keywords. Let's get a good look. It's a big old axe. And you saw people who've played the TMNT arcade game, the first one, are having memories of guys that look like this, I'm sure. There's also ones with hammers that we didn't pull but happen to be in the set. All right. Swarm at the screen's edge is the trait for the foot soldiers. When foot soldier would be KO'd, roll a d6 and add the number of other friendly characters KO'd this turn. If the total is 5 or more, instead turn this character to click number 1 and place it in your starting area. So now I'm going to score it. There's like already a 1 and 3. Base 1 and 3 plus whatever your opponent might have killed. So you're giving us some points there, but you might not give up any points with this guy. He's got that 2D movement, special power on his movement. Sidestep, when foot soldier uses it, it can only move in a direct path. Kind of a throwback to 2D games. And Blades, Claws, Fangs, foot soldiers attack rolls are 11 and 12 are critical hits on the axe. That's going to be a common theme you see with anybody having the axe. 15 points. I mean, it takes more work to kill the 15 points than it probably deserves, which is why he may have a spot on some teams that can make effective use of that. Especially with bystanders, when you really think about it. If you can get some 0-point bystanders with him, he's going to be really hard to actually score the 15 points on. All right, next up we have the foot soldier with the boomerang. There he is. Look at him. Look at him. He's got a boomerang. Very cool. Swarm at screen edge trait. We talked about that. Foot Clan TMNT soldier. He's also got a 2D movement ability. We talked about the last one. Boomerang. When foot soldier miss a range attack on a 1 or 2 once per turn, you may reroll the attack roll. So he's 15 points again. This stats, the boomerang is the 3 clicks there. It's a neat thing, not a great thing. I'd almost kind of prefer the axe one because the Blades Claws is a little bit more reliable in that sense. But the boomerang is a neat thing if you do happen to make the attack on his 4 range, and you miss by a little, you get another shot at it, kind of like a cheap prop. All right, next up we got Bebop. Bebop's got shifting focus. Bebop! So you can, shifting focus is a mechanic. Those of you unfamiliar, if Bebop began the game, this turn on the map, so this version of Bebop was the one that you started your turn with. Look at this, is so cool looking. I really like this. This is, this one really turned, the Bebop and Rocksteady definitely really lend themselves to this. All right. Shifting focus, Bebop. Free. If Bebop began the turn on the map, you may replace him with another character with this trait on the same click number. Then he's got a special attack power, Uppercut. When Bebop hits an adjacent character, that character modifies attack by -2 until your next turn. And then he's got a stop defense power, which he has on his last click. He's 50 points with 3 range. This one is close combat focused, and you're going to see as shifting focus does what shifting focus does. You're going to have multiple versions that kind of focus in a different direction. One's going to be range, one's going to be close combat, and you switch between the two depending on what you need. At 50 points, it's okay. It's not bad, and it works in close combat very well. So probably not going to be breaking the game, but definitely a lot of fun. Super, super cool. All right, next up, Rocksteady. Foot Clan, TMNT villain, and animal. Shifting focus again for Rocksteadies. He's got special attack power, kick. Knockback. When Rocksteady hits an adjacent opposing character, that character modifies attack by -1 until your next turn. He's got, and the sub-boss, special defense power, which gives him stop on his last click, 50 points. He's got special power on his first 3 clicks, as he'll do. So that's Rocksteady's version of close combat. Okay, next up in the uncommon slot, figure number 11, the Stone Warrior. He's TMNT villain, armor, brute, and warrior. Now, these guys are in TMNT, the arcade game, I believe. I'm not sure if they were in the Turtles in Time off the top of my head. It's been a while since I played Turtles in Time specifically. But these guys come off a lot less pixelated. They almost don't look pixelated at all. They're also featured in the animated series and the comic series. So while they are in the video game, these ones are not representative of that. This one specifically, but it's from the 88 comic series. Anyway, he's got the reduced to rebel trait, which the other Stone Warriors have. This one's got a slightly bigger dial. It's 45 points. A little tougher to take down than the other one, but still not breaking anything. Competitive play. This is a casual figure. It's going to be great on your Stone Warrior or TMNT villains. Nice little bodyguard piece if you have something with Mastermind. Okay. Next up, we have the Foot Elite with an axe. So we know what the axe does, but the Foot Elite, sacrifice Swarm when an adjacent friendly character is KO'd or takes 3 damage but isn't KO'd. Give Foot Elite an opportunity token. Free. Remove an opportunity token to either make an attack or move up to 2 squares. So that's a neat trait that can get some effective use. Now he's got 1 damage as you see, but he's got an axe, which means he's got Blade's Claws. He's got Empower as well to help nearby guys do really well. So overall, the foot elites you're going to find there are a little bit more value out of them. This one's 25 points. Blade's Claws. I mean, a Blade's Claws Fangs figure at 25 points, if he rolls 3 or 4, you're already winning in that sense. All right. So next up we have a foot elite with the boomerang. So it's Sacrifice Swarm with the boomerang. This one's a little bit more range focused. It's got enhancement, also 25 points, but 4 clicks of enhancement with some energy shield off the top. This one's a little bit more combat effective than the other one because of the fact that he starts at range. All games start at range. 4 range on him with sidestep, so effective 6 reach. There's some use out of him, and plus enhancement to make somebody next to him great. You can't go wrong with that. So both of these foot elites have their place in the right place. All right. Next up, figure number 16, Sergeant Granitor. He's got a level boss. Flashing orange is his trait. The first time each game, Sergeant Granitor would be KO'd. Instead, turn him to click 5, then heal him 1 click if an opposing force has 1 or 2 characters on it. Otherwise, heal him 2 clicks. Protected pulse wave, so he'll always get to use that. And then he's got a special attack power, Flame Gun, penetrating psychic blast. When Sergeant Granitor hits an opposing character with a range attack after resolutions, deal 1 penetrating damage to each opposing character adjacent to the hit target. So it's kind of like an energy explosion, but he doesn't have to hit the other targets. 75 points with some leadership. Yes, this isn't a terrible character. If you can get that Flame Gun off, great. Once again, another Rockman here. This is from the 80. This is representative of the 87 animated series when they went to Dimension X and started dealing with the Rockmen in there. All right, this is Bebop. Shifting Focus, Foot Clan, TMNT Villain, Animal keywords. Spatial Warp Gun is a special attack pack. I'm not going to go over Shifting Focus because we already talked about that. Spatial Warp Gun. When Bebop hits with a range attack after resolutions, you may place each hit character up to 2 squares away from the current square, and then he's got the sub boss defense power. He's got 6 range with 1 target, but it's a ranged combat version of the same Bebop. That effectiveness on this special attack power, though, can go a long way. When you get kind of a forced sidestep on your opponent, that's pretty wacky and goofy. So this guy is going to make games interesting when he is used, especially if he can pull off that 2 square thing and just watch your opponent go, uh-oh, what do I do now? This is the range focus, shifting focus, Rocksteady with spray machine gun fire, which is energy explosion with 3 targets with a 6 range. Now, energy explosion, the 3 targets doesn't really make a difference as far as the damage being dealt, but the way you can spread it out if your opponent's force is spread out goes a long way. So not a terrible energy explosion version, not too bad. Again, range focus, so if you don't need close combat this turn, you can range focus him. Go for it. Or you can use the other Rocksteady at range to move the target that you want this guy to shoot out of harm's way of your own characters and tag him that way. Oh, this one made me smile. And this is the Foot Elite with Dynamite. Dynamite! He's got, okay, so the Foot Elite, some of the Foot Elite also have this special movement power. The other 2 did not, but it is a temporary footboard, free, move up to 3 squares in a direct path. So it's kind of like a 3 square sidestep, but it isn't sidestep. So if you happen to find a way to give this guy a sidestep, you can move 5 squares for free in a single turn. Dynamite, energy explosion. When Foot Elite uses it, hit characters of 60 points or less can't make attacks during their next turn. That's actually very potent. If you can pull that off at 5 range with these stats, you can get a lot of damage on. He's got leadership too, which makes him not terrible. Works well with Foot Clan, TMNT villains, and soldiers. Soldier is a very strong keyword already, so do not discount the dynamite throwing Foot Elite. Actually, there's other rare Foot Elites as well that will kind of have similar stats to that one and do a lot of cool stuff. All right, next up, General Trag. TMNT villain, armor, brute, soldier. He's got level boss, flashing orange. This guy is also one of the bosses in the TMNT video games, arcade games. So, you know, I'm not being a terrible human being here. It's just the reference on this one is the animated series, and he was also featured in the video game. Level boss, flashing orange. The first time each game, General Trag would be KO'd. Instead, turn him to click 6, then heal him 1 click. If opposing character has opposing force has 1 or 2 characters, otherwise heal him 2 clicks. Protected pulse wave, so you can always get that off. I don't know why I reread that. Rockalizer Ray. Free, choose an opposing character within range and line of fire. If that character is adjacent to a piece of blocking terrain, make a close attack targeting it, regardless of adjacency, modifying attack and damage by +1. That's a cool little thing that he has on his first 3 clicks. Comes with charge. So it's kind of like a ranged close combat attack that you get extra attack and damage on. 95 points is not bad. It's not breaking the competitive market, that's for sure, but this guy is pretty neato as far as interesting abilities. If you can get this guy in an indoor map or backed up with some barrier, you can use those barriers to increase his attack and damage in order to get some really big hits off with him. Actually, oh my goodness, I'm thinking of ideas with the Alan Scott Green Lantern now. All right, next up. This is Shredder without helmet. Nice reference to the TMNT arcade game. Again. Alright. So Shredder has Foot Clan, TMNT villain, martial artist, mystical, and ruler keywords. He's got a 20-point trait, Illusionary Double. Free. If no friendly character named Shredder Illusion is on your force, generate a Shredder Illusion. Your opponents don't score that character, so you can keep making them as long as you don't have one and you can take a free action. Alright. Game Boss. Flashing Red. The first 2 times each game, Shredder would be KO'd. Instead, turn him to click number 6, then heal him 1 click if an opposing character force has 1 or 2 characters on it. Otherwise, heal him 2 clicks. This is also Protected Pulse Wave. So it's very similar, but different because he can do it the first 2 times. Alright. He's got the Retro Mutagen Ray. Outwit. When Shredder uses it, target character can use Earthbound Neutralize into. So basically, if they're a flyer, they're no longer a flyer. If they're indomitable, they're no longer indomitable. I don't know if that still affects indomitable, now that I think about it. And he is indomitable. He has Mastermind. Does a lot of damage. 12 attack with 4 damage. Also with blades, if you really want to risk the blades. On a 5 or 6, you can do extra damage. Minimum 3, of course, with the new blades rules. He's got his Mutagen Ray on his last 3 clicks, so sparingly. Could be 100 points, and it's really hard to damage. He's 80 points, and this is a really good 80-point dial. There's potential, especially once you start including those Shredder illusions. There's a lot of really good work you can get done with those guys. All right, next up. Hantan, the Rat King. Foot Clan, TMNT villain, and future keywords. Hole in the Rat Lair. Now, there's a lot of reading on this guy. Bear with me. At the beginning of the game, place a hole marker in any square at least 5 squares away from a starting area. At the beginning of your turn, if no character occupies a square with the hole marker and less than 3 rats generate rat bystanders are on the map, generate a giant rat bystander in a square adjacent to the hole. These are giant rats. They have 3 movement with sidestep, 8 attack, 15 defense with 1 damage with special power. That reads, if giant rat is adjacent to 1 or more friendly bystanders, named a giant rat, modify its damage +1. If it's adjacent to 2 or more of them, also modify attack by 1. Special movement power on the Rat King. I control all the rats in the world. Sidestep. When Hatan, the Rat King, moves at least 1 square and ends adjacent to an opposing character after resolutions, all friendly bystanders named Giant Rat may move 1 square. And then he's got exploit weakness on a special damage power. There is a lot of potential in this Rat King for swarming the board and making it uncomfortable in your opponent's early game starting area, or for getting past these rats in the first place. They're not going to be... these giant rats are not tiny, worth noting, so they're a little bit more difficult to get by. They also block lines of fire. If you can put that hole in a decent place with like a chokehold, like for instance on the WizKids Office map, you can create giant choke points with this guy and really frustrate your opponents. So Hatan the Rat King is got a lot of potential for sure. We're getting down there, guys. Now, we got a super rare and chase. We'll start with a super rare. We have Donatello. I love it. It's in my heart. TMNT ally, animal, martial artist, and scientist keywords. Tales of the TMNT. Now, you'll see the other Nicktoons cartoon versions of the Turtles will have this trait, but it basically gives you a tail and how that tail works and how you can share it. All right. So, Donatello comes with Tales of the TMNT at the beginning of the game. For all characters that can use this trait, choose a tail trait that a friendly character can use this game. All friendly characters with the tail trait can use the chosen trait instead of any other tail trait. his tail, mazes, and mutants. This character has protected, opposing perplex, opposing outwit, probability control. Ooh, not outwit. Then he's got a special attack power, Master of the Bow Staff. When Donatello hits an opposing character with an attack after resolutions, choose one. Give the hit character an action token, or the hit character modifies defense -1 until your next turn. So they either take an action token or they're -1 defense, which opens them up for the next attack, which is what you usually do. Anyway. If you're not if Donatello's not the last guy you're playing attacking him with, he's got the special power on his first 2 clicks on his 80-point dial. He's got probability control and invulnerable on those, and the 60-point dial comes with plasticity, outwit, quake. This is probably the first most usable Donatello I've ever seen out of the sets, which I'm very happy about because Donatello is one of my favorite Ninja Turtles, but I understand the challenge they have with making him the most awesome Ninja Turtle ever. I can see this guy seeing some level of play for sure, be it on an animal team, TMNT team, or scientist team. Scientist is not a weak keyword in the least. So yeah, Donatello's got some competitive potential. Some. Not necessarily going to be breaking the game, but there's some potential. All right, and to wrap it up with our chase, Michelangelo, 8-bit on the board. Sorry about dropping it there, guys. All right, so Michelangelo has TMNT, ally, and martial artist keywords. He ignores characters for movement. Auto-scrolling skate level, which all the chases will have. At the beginning of your turn, you may move Michelangelo 1 square. Free, move up to 3 squares in a direct path. Then he's got a special movement power, jump kick. Hypersonic speed, when Michelangelo uses it, he can use ignores elevated and ignores hindering, but modifies his speed by -3. Then he's got the nunchuck special attack power, flurry. Each time Michelangelo hits an opposing character after resolutions, he may give the character an action token. Which he has on his first 2 and his last 2 clicks. He's got the hypersonic on the first 3 of the 75-point dial. At 100 points, you start with the charge and the special attack. So you got quite a reach on the charge when you think about that special movement power. He also starts with some perplex, ends it with some support at the back end. Has to make sure on the front that was support. And yeah, he's got some close combat expert. Overall, I'm more a fan of the Donatello myself, but the movement potential on this guy, when you include the trait and the fact that he can move 1 square at the beginning of the turn, then take a free action, move 3 squares, then he'll be able to charge 5 squares with the with his 100-point dial. Or, you've moved 4 squares, you've now got a 6 movement hypersonic that you can use on this guy. That ignores characters, so you're not really going to be running into the issue of failing breakaway rolls. So not a terrible figure overall. Not breaking the game, but very mobile hypersonicer on the lower dials, or a very, very front fast charge flurry on the 100-point dial. All right, let's wrap this good boy up. So, bit by bit with this set, we found a little bit of good and a little bit of casual. This is going to be a very fun set to play either way. I love the way these figures look, especially when you get them on your table. You kind of look at them at a distance, like, yeah, neato kind of thing going on. Overall, the themes are a lot of fun in this set, and some of the figures have a little bit of that competitive edge on them. We'll see how that goes. So you guys enjoy TMNT Unplugged when you open it. Have some fun with it. And, once again, thank you, WizKids, for providing us with this product. It was great to get a chance to open it up early. I'm a big fan of Ninja Turtles video games in the past. They have a special place in my heart, a special place of anger for the Nintendo one, but whatever. But it's great to relive this kind of stuff and reopen that door to my childhood, as it were. Have a good one, guys.